Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on a Saturday. And I welcome you all on behalf of Naukri Learning on to today's live session. That is breaking into your first job as a data analyst with no prior experience. And once again, thank you so much for joining us today. And to address your topic and to help you out with your doubts, we have with us. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce him. So Meet is basically a data AI and data analytics professional, and he's basically a data science and machine learning enthusiast, and he's associated with the digital and forensic investigation industry. As we can towards the end of the session. Uh, and okay, we will try to address them as towards the end of the session. And some of you also have shared some questions during the time of the registration, and we'll also try to address that as well. So without further delay, let us start. Meet, over to you.
Thank you, Niharika. Hi, everyone. A very good afternoon to all of you. I think you are doing good during this tough pandemic times. Today, we are going to be talking about a very interesting topic, how to break into your first job as a data analyst with no prior experience. I am particularly targeting the college students and the freshers or the newly hired who are having experiences less than 1 or 2 years. So before applying and before understanding of what would be your job and how to apply for the job, how to get the job, I think uh, so. It's very important that you know what a data analyst is. What does he do? So, so this is what happens when you. This is a roadmap for you, which you need to follow if you have to become a part of the data science industry, or if you have to become a data analyst. So first of all, you need to know the job. That is the first and foremost important thing. A lot of you know that there is a lot of hype around this particular field, the data science and analytics field. And then because of that, you see a lot of people are getting hired in this field. And then naturally, also want a part of this cake in your own appetite. So, but then what you lack an understanding regarding what actually happens in the field. What exactly do you need to expect from the particular job? And then what would be your day-to-day role? So ideally, the very first thing I would do is first know the job to understand the requirements, understand what would be my day-to-day activities in the job, what are the skills which are required, do I possess them or not? And if I do not possess them, once I have a clear understanding, once I have done my research about the job, about the industry, the next thing which I will be doing is to learn the right skills, right? Uh, I will be discussing about what are the right skills which you need for the job, but then you need to spend some time. If you are a college student, let's say if you are in your second or third year, then this is the very accurate time for you to start preparing for the job, start preparing to learn the right skills, and then start preparing at a very early stage of your career to actually get the job by the time you reach the placement season. After having the right skills, the next step would be to build a portfolio, to build a data analyst resume. I know that we all have been a part of our college premises, and we all know that our college has definitely asked us to build a resume for us, right? But then that resume will not work in the industry. Those resumes are very good when it comes to on-campus placement, but then getting a job in the market, you have to have a categorized and a tailored resume for the particular job profile. Next, I would be discussing about how to optimize your LinkedIn profile to leverage it and to reap the best out of the particular platform. And I must say, from my personal experience, LinkedIn has been a very good platform, and it's like an ecosystem for all the people who are trying to get a job and all the people who are trying to recruit you. So LinkedIn is the go-to platform. Next, I will be sharing how working with recruiters could be very fruitful for you. I know that it's really frustrating when you're applying for thousands of jobs on a given week or a month, and then you get responses from hardly 10 or 15 from them, and you are not making much success out of your applications for the job profile. So this is one of the tricks which I'm going to share with you, how working with recruiters could be the game-changing plan for you. Next, we have obviously we have to prepare for the interviews. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to share my own personal experience, how I had prepared for my interviews and what are the things which I had to be very careful about before actually going for the interview. And finally, when you have achieved all of this, all of the first six stages, then congratulations, and you will be getting the job. So uh, why this brings me a great joy to talk on this topic today is because it was not a long back ago that I was in your shoes and I was looking for getting my first job in the field of data analytics. And now that I have it, I am very happy to share my own experience with you. And I am hoping that this session becomes very instrumental for you and you learn a lot from it, and then you apply them and you get a job as well. So, coming to the first point would be know the job. So, what does a data analyst do? Uh, if you just go to Google and you search what does a data analyst do, you will get an explanation something like data analysts collect, organize, and interpret statistical information to make it useful for a range of businesses and organizations. But is it doing justice to the job which you have to do? I would say partly yes, but there is actually a lot to the job rather than just doing this. So I'm going to discuss now what exactly you have to do if you are a data analyst. So there are four aspects of being a data analyst. it the first one is definitely, it's in chronological order. The first one is defining the problem. Next would be data preparation, and you are going to spend a lot of time in this particular section, that is data preparation. I guess in a life of a data analyst on a regular day, around 40% goes into data preparation only. Next is the number crunching, all the analysis which you have to perform on the data. And then, yes, definitely the last one is storytelling. And this is the most crucial and the most underrated requirement of the job. So, defining the problem, what does it mean? Why a data analyst needs to define the problem? So, there are a few things which you need to understand. Being a data analyst doesn't mean that you are going to spend all of your time just running SQL scripts, Python scripts, playing around with the data, getting insights, etc. You first have to identify the problem. So you are a person who is going to be talking to the client directly firsthand, or it could be just your manager or the business analyst in your team, and they are gonna tell you the requirements of the project. They are just gonna tell you, okay, hey, meet. So currently we are planning to do something XYZ, and this is the problem. This is something we want from you. So your job is to now make understand the requirements of the project. You have to understand what this client want, what kind of insights, what kind of information is he looking for. Does he have any data for it? If not, then you have to design and you have to kind of figure out that what are the data sources which you want to be using. You have to design a plan of action, that how much time duration would it take, what are the number of steps which you have to take for the entire project. And then once you design the entire plan of action, you have to communicate the plan to the team so that they are all in the same picture, and then your stakeholders needs to be satisfied with your plan of action. Because then if they are not, and at the end of the entire life cycle of the project, you come up with some solutions, and what happens is that the stakeholder, the client, is not happy with it. So now your entire work goes down to the drain and you have to rework it. So this is one of the most important and a very crucial step, that is defining the problem. Next, you have data preparation. Why did I say that you have to spend a lot of time in this particular section? That is because data is so right now we know that there is an exponential growth in the rate of how data is being generated. But we have all been studying data science. We have all been studying Python. We have all been doing some data exploration, etc. For our academics, for our college purposes. But something which we do not know is that the data which we are using for our personal projects or our academic projects, they are very refined data. They come in a formatted way. They come in a structure. Some data might be there, having some missing values, or some it would be messy, but then it's still far, far, far better than what data you are gonna get in the real job. So the point is that data is always, it's not looking pretty, it's not looking beautiful the way you're getting the data from Kaggle, etc. Data in real life is very ugly and it's very messy, and it doesn't come from the same source. So you have to decide which data are you working on, which sources do you need the data from. Let's say if for your particular project your data is coming from XML files, then you have to find out a way how to parse those XML data. If your data is coming from a website, then you have to find a way to parse to that data. If it could be coming from just SQL databases, it could be coming from APIs. So it depends on the requirement of the project. The data could be coming from various sources. And then again, when you know that this is a particular source from where I want the data for my particular analysis. Now comes the second most important part of the data preparation role is ETL. The full form of ETL is just extract, transform, and load. It sounds simple, but it's a very complicated task. And naturally, it depends on company to company. If you're working in a larger company, then you necessarily do not have to do the ETL job. There are data engineers. There would be a data team. You would be working alongside with them parallelly, and then you might even be supervising them, and then they will be doing the ETL stuff for you. But then if you're in a startup company, or if you're in a mid-scale company, then you might be the only person who have to take care of the ETL part as well. So what exactly do you do in ETL then? So now that you know that this is the data source, now what you have to do is you now need to get that data from that particular source, extract it first, then you have to apply a lot of transformation. You see, data could be in raw format, but then you need to bring it down into a structure. You cannot work with unstructured data in data analytics. So you need to transform the data into your particular format. There are a lot of various ways how you're doing the transformation. And then once the transformation is done, then you have to load it into the system. When I say into the system, it could be your SQL database, it could be your Tableau data, or it could be something which is very specific for your own company. Now, the next point would be cleaning data and aggregating data. Cleaning data is just, when you're getting the data, there would be a lot of anomalies in the data. Data is not perfect. It's far away from perfect, I would say. There would be missing values, there would be duplicate values, and there would be a lot of skewness in the data, etc. So you need to clean all of them. You need to have all of them into the same big page. You need to perform, feature engineering. I'm sure if you are interested in the field, then you are aware of what feature engineering is. Then you have to perform lots of cleaning processes into the data, which will make your data, just make it usable for your analysis task. And aggregating is, what does it mean? It means that you might have data from the sales department, you might have data from the marketing team, and then what you have to do is you cannot use these instead of having all these individual data sources, the data tables. But you have to kind of aggregate them, you have to join them, you have to append them, and kind of create a master table which you are going to use for your further analysis. So next job role of a data analyst is to do number crunching, and this is where you need a lot of I would say analytical mindset, etc. Because this is something which you will not be instructed specifically by your stakeholder or your client. There's something which you have to figure out on your own. So you know what you have to do, but then how you have to do it's completely on to you. Statistical analysis refers to the basic statistical, you know, uh, instruments like finding out mean, median, mode, finding out standard deviation, variation, etc., correlation. These are something very specific to statistics, but then they give you a lot of uh, preliminary information regarding the data, and then that would be your first stepping stone. Functional analysis depends from which domain you belong to. It's not related to mathematics or statistics. It's more related towards which industry are you a part of. You can be a data analyst in the field of uh, marketing. You can be a data analyst in the field of healthcare, in the field of finance, etc. So functional analysis is just performing some analysis which is very specific to your particular domain. If you are in healthcare, then your analysis would be what are the common questions you can ask from the data which are relevant to the healthcare, and so on and so forth for the other domains as well. Ad hoc analysis is something which you may or may not have done in your previous projects, but it could be very specific to this particular project. Your manager or your stakeholder could just hop in and they would say that, hey, I think I want to know what is the trend regarding this particular product. How are people responding to it? And this could be something which you have to figure out on the go, and you have to find a way how to do it on your own, because these are the problems which you will be facing, and then you have to find solutions for them yourself, and then you can do a lot of research on your own, and then you have to deliver it to the client. The last one is the experiment analysis, and this is something which you will not be doing if you're joining as an entry level data analyst. If you're someone who is having, who is at a medium level, who is a medium level data analyst, or who is a senior data analyst, then your job would be required to do a lot of experimental analysis, like finding out performing hypothesis testing, finding if product A should be considered over product B, if you have to do market basket analysis, etc. These are some of the things which are very complex, but this is a part of your job. Now, storytelling. I said that this is an underrated skill with to have in the field of data analytics, and I absolutely mean it. A lot of you think that coming into the data industry just means that you have to be flawless and expert with your coding skills, with your analytical mindset, etc. But then the most important point in the data analytics field is you have to be a person who can interpret the numbers in a way that it's very convenient and comfortable for the people, for the stakeholders who does not belong uh, to the IT industry, or who does not belong to the data industry, who does not understand numbers. But then it's your job to sell your insights, to sell your findings in a way that they are convinced with it, and they absolutely get to know what you have done, and you have solved the problem as well. Now, first thing which you have to do is subsetting data. You remember when I said that you have to create a master data set, combining all the data coming from various sources. Now, on this particular step, you have to have a visual idea what visualization you have to do, what kind of charts are you going to using, what are the questions you are answering from your particular charts, and on the basis of that, you have to filter out the data. Like, you cannot use the entire data set. You have to filter out. You have to select those particular targeted attributes or categories. I'm sorry, which you need for the particular visualization. So that is something which you have to do. Next is reporting and visualization. Here is the concept where you have to be very good in understanding the data first, because if you understand the data first, then you know which chart you have to use. Reporting and visualization tools are there like Power BI and Tableau, QuickLab, etc. But then it doesn't matter which tool you are using. It's definitely catered from company to company. But as long as you understand the data, and as long as you know if your visualization, if your reports is answering the questions which were initially asked in the requirement gathering steps, so you know that you have become good in the job. And then the last part is you have to be flawless in your presentation and persuasion skills. Being a data scientist means that you have to become a very good storyteller. Looking at the graph, you have to explain the relationship between what the data is talking to, how the data is relating to each other, how this chart is answering, is explaining something which was a part of the reason why you are doing this analysis. And then you just have to be so good with your communication and persuasion skills you basically have to sell your visualization to the stakeholders and to convince them. So this is something which we kind of neglect at a very early stage when we are preparing for the job. But then after you get the job, this becomes kind of the sole purpose of the job, and you have to do storytelling and dashboarding a lot compared to the other stuff. So yeah, this is something I think you should be preparing for moving forward. So now, who should be a data analyst? Can anybody who is having a background in computer science or any other field, marketing, finance, statistics, etc., can they become a data analyst? No, I would say no. But then, can they work on their skills to become a data analyst in the future? Yes. So, who is it ideal for? If you are a person who loves problem solving, who does not get who does not run away from solving problems, then you are a person who is a good fit for being a data analyst. Why is it important? Is because uh, today you are working on a project, and then understand, guys, that in a in a data analytics project, the project is not like you have made the dashboard, you have done everything, and you have shown it, presented it to the client, and the client is happy, and that's the end of the project. The data comes in periodic manner, right? Data which you have right now is for, let's say, for the month of August, but then again you are going to get the data from the for the month of September, and likewise for the coming months as well. So your job does not end after completing the dashboarding or the data analytics for August. It's going to be continuing for the coming months as well. And it's not like whatever steps or whatever pipelines you have built for your data analytics for August, it's going to be working flawlessly for the month of September and October, etc. as well. So it might be that the data source has changed, and now the data is coming from a different source, and then now your pipeline is not working out. So then everything is breaking apart, and now you have this is one of the problem which now you have to take care of because it was your project, and then you might feel like you know I have already done it. Why am I facing the same problem again? So this is why you need to have a problem solving attitude, that you will face a lot of problems. You will be asked to do a lot of things which would be quite challenging for you, and you might not have done it before, and you might not even get support from your team. But then you have to be proactive towards how you're going to solve the problem, because that's the requirement of your job. Next is having a method methodical and logical mindset. The reason for that is the data comes in a very unstructured way. You already know that, but you have to do everything from a logical mindset. You have to find ways how you. So it would be like you have a jigsaw puzzle, but then all the puzzle pieces are just lying just like that. They are just broken apart, and you have to find a way to find the relation between one piece with the another. How you are gonna contact each of them together. How you're gonna glue them together and then finally complete the entire jigsaw. That is something which you cannot do if you do not have a methodical and logical mindset. Next is being organized and structured. This is a personality trait which is really essential if you want to become a data analyst. Whatever you are going to do in the job, it is required for you to document it. It is required for you to do all of them in a very neat and clean way, so that tomorrow, if some other analyst is looking into your work, they are being able to understand it and they are being able to carry it forward from that particular point. So, this is something which is very essential. Self and continuous learning. If you are a person who thinks that, oh, I have learned everything about data analytics, I have learned all the SQL stuff, I have learned everything in Python, and now I got the job, and now I'm good to go. I'm just going to have a lavish lifestyle. I'm just going to work 9 to 5, and then after that, I'm just going to relax. Then this job is not for you. In data analytics, you have to be a continuous learner, you have to be a self learner. Nobody's going to teach you anything. You have to find everything on the go. You have to research on your own self, uh, and then you have to come up with solutions. And you cannot be a person who is just running away from learning, because in data analytics things are always changing. The data is always there is always new data. There's always new methods coming in. So it is your job to keep on learning, to keep on practicing, to keep on implementing stuff, and to keep on coming up with solutions which your team has not implicitly asked you. It could be something like very simple as automating a process which is currently taking 30 hours, and then you are creating automated process which is just going to complete it in 30 minutes. So these are some of the things which are which are not directly asked in your job description, but this is something which are being you have to read between the lines, and this is something which it would be a part of your job. Now, the second last point would be enjoying building and tinkering. Absolutely, yes, I do abide by it because you never make your final dashboard at the first time. So you develop it, you design it, you break it, you throw it away, you scrap it, you build it again, you make changes, and then you break it apart until and finally you realize that, okay, now I'm at this particular point. This looks good. I am good to go. It's good to go for the presentation. I can present to the clients or the managers. But then before coming to that particular point, that particular topic, situation, you have to do a lot of experiments, breaking, building, etc. Last point is attention to details. Yes, very important. You have to have a very keen eyes towards details and accuracy. Uh, Even a small miscalculation would lead to the entire analysis to fail. So I would say you have to have a very keen observation towards the data, towards how you are performing the activities and the ways you are doing it. You cannot, like, there is no space for mistakes in the job. Why should you not be a data analyst then if you are not a self learner? So as you know the importance of self learning now, so you should already understand that why self learning is very important. If you get frustrated very easily, this job is not meant for you. Uh, Very good example would be that you are given a task to do, but you cannot figure it on your own. And then you have already spent like a week on it, but you still cannot figure it out. And then you are getting frustrated very quickly. And then you are kind of lashing out to your team, your manager, and then you are just failing at the job. But then let's say if you would have been the same person and you are not being able to do it in the first week, you are not giving up, you are still researching, and by the end of the second week you have actually kind of figured out a way how you have actually completed the task. This is coming from my personal experience. uh, I couldn't do the job in my first week and I felt helpless, and then in the second week, uh, based on my research on the first week, I was able to make slow progress, and by the end of the week I was able to complete the task. So yes, if I would have been frustrated, then I would not have been able to give my input in the second week, and that task would never have been possible to complete. So you can, if you are getting frustrated, if you have high anger issues, this job is not meant for you. If you hate hours of manual work, again, this job is not meant for you because you have to do a lot of manual work. Not everything would be automated for you. You are the person who is going to automate stuff. So expect yourself to be working on SQL scripts all the day, entire day, working on Excel, working on dashboarding, etc. You have to do it like all the time. If you lack people skills, then you are going to struggle in the job a lot, because you, if being a data analyst doesn't mean it's a geeky job. You just have to be in your desk and you just have to play with numbers. You have to talk to the clients, you have to talk to the stakeholder, your manager, to the team. You have to talk to the vendors from where you're going to get the data, and there's a lot of talking. You have to wait and communicate with the team to get further data. So it's like being a data analyst, you have to interact and communicate with people a lot. So the more people skills you have, the better it becomes for you to get the job. Otherwise, to be good at the job. Otherwise, it's just, if you are an introvert of a person, then I would say that try to be social around the people, and try to learn how to interact with people, learn how to communicate with them. And this is something which is very important. The last point, which is the I would say this is a niche point why everybody wants to get into this industry, and that is like, if I become a data analyst, if I become a data scientist, I'm just gonna be a millionaire like in my first year, the moment I join the job. No, this is not the reality. You don't become rich immediately. I would say if you are a junior data analyst, you would make decent money, but it wouldn't be the dream job, the dream salary which you're expecting, because you do not know nothing about data analytics. This is your first job. You have the skills, but you have to learn everything from scratch, right? You have to unlearn everything which you have done in your college, and you have to learn everything from scratch. You have to learn how the business works. You have to learn how your domain works. You have to learn everything. And once you become quite skilled and expert in your job, you understand the business, you understand how to ask the right questions, how to answer them, and then is the point when you start becoming rich. So if you're running behind money, then you shouldn't be joining as a data analyst because you would be disappointed, definitely. But if you're running behind these skills and if you're really having a keen interest in the field, then I would say go for it. Learn, spend your couple of first few years, 1 to 3 years, understanding the business, understanding the entire ecosystem of data analytics, and then when you become quite good at it, then you can look forward to making money in the field. Now, coming to the right skills, then, what are the skills which are absolutely required for you to get a job in the field of data analytics? In the top four, these are the core fields: Excel, SQL, Tableau, and Python. A lot of you might be thinking, why did I include Excel? Excel is just some rubbish tool which you use for just creating some tables for a college purpose or for some other purposes. But why is it there in the list? Yes, I was one of the person who thinks the same like you. But then after joining the industry, I kind of realized that Excel is an underdog. We are not taught anything on Excel in our academics. But when you join the industry, you are going to spend a lot of time working in SQL and sorry in Excel. So yes, there are basic SQL, there are intermediate SQL skills, and then there is advanced SQL skills. I would say have learned basic and intermediate SQL skills, learn how pivot table works, learn how VLOOKUPs work, learn how VB and macros and formulas work, because they are going to be very handy for you in the job. SQL, because yes, data analytics is going to happen in SQL. SQL would be your best friend in the job. You would be doing a lot of querying, a lot of database uh, management stuff using SQL for your analytics job. You have to do data cleaning, you have to do data extraction, you have to do data transformation. All of these things are being done through SQL. So I would say data exploration, data cleaning stuff is being done both in SQL and Python. And then Tableau is essential because it's not a comparative analysis between Tableau and Power BI, which one should you learn, but it's just a market standard that majority of the companies are performing their job in doing the dashboarding in Tableau. So I would say focus on Tableau, learn in Tableau. If you can learn Power BI as well, it's good to go, good to have a skill. But then Tableau is something which is very popular and which is being used throughout a lot of companies, especially in the larger firms and the mid-scale firms. So if you have good skills in Tableau, if you know how to make a dashboard, if you know all the different kind of charts which are out there, if you know how does the measurements work, how does the dimensions work, how to make calculated fields, how to sort and filter, and how to add details on the basis of the attributes, then I would say you are good to go for you have this skill and then you can start applying for the job. Python is actually the boss in the industry. You may or may not be using Python immediately after getting the job, but Python would be something which would be like something which you're going to work like a lot in your entire career if you're in the data field. And then Python is used for statistical analysis, it is used for web scraping, it is used for exploratory data analysis. You just name it, and Python is used for everything. If you're having skills in Python, if you understand the concepts of oops, if you know how libraries work, then yes, you can be assured that you are not going to face any difficulty in the job. Now, all the things which are looking at the bottom are just good to have skills. They are not the essential skills which you need, but if you have them, they are definitely going to be coming handy during your interview period and during your job hunting phase. So you already know about Power BI, just an alternative for Tableau, but Power BI can do much more than visualizations. I would say spend some time exploring the other features of Power BI, how data management is being worked over there, how the domain models are being built in Power BI, etc. Those are something which you may not be aware of. But there is a similar software tool in Tableau as well. It's called Tableau Prep, which I use a lot before putting the data into the Tableau. So it's something similar which you are getting integrated into Power BI. So yes, Power BI is a very good to have skill. Alteryx, uh, I know you may not have heard of it yet, but Alteryx is a pipelining tool. it's a very good software. If you have to do filtering, if you have to do data exploration, if you have to do data cleaning and handling, then Alteryx is a very simplified tool. You don't have to code anything. It would be just drag and drop, but then you have to have the logic. You have to have the methods in your mind, how you're going to do it. And if you're clear with the logic, Alteryx is just going to make your life much more simpler. SAS and R are just other ways of, just alternatives for SQL and Python. These are good to have skills. Some companies may be using SAS instead of SQL and Python, and then some companies may be asking you to work on R rather than working on Python. But then I wouldn't spend a lot of time banging my head learning these stuff if I do not have the time for it. I would just focus on learning the core skills, and then once I get the job, maybe after that I will focus on expanding my horizon in terms of my skills which I possess within myself, and I learn these things. Azure and AWS. Will be very handy in your career in the coming future, not immediately. But then, if you have a goal of becoming a data scientist, if you have a goal of being someone who is going to do a lot of machine learning stuff, then remember that you do not do it on the on-premises, you do it on the cloud. And then you have a lot of various platforms which you get within AWS or Microsoft Azure. You don't have to learn everything. You don't have to learn the cloud computing stuff. Just learn the part which are related to data analytics, and like there is a Synapse in Azure, and then there is, I think, a data I don't remember the name for AWS, but something similar is there in AWS as well. So you can learn those stuff as well. But these are complementary skills. You do not need to focus on them right away. You can do it if you have time or when you have got the job. Now, building a portfolio and building a resume. This is, I would say, this is how you get the job. You have the skills, but then the recruiter doesn't know that you have the skills. So this is the bridge between you and the recruiter. So how are you going to build a portfolio? I would say work on build 2 to 5 projects. Uh, Make the project in such a way the project shouldn't be like you have just done it. You have to thoroughly understand the projects. You have to use the star approach. You have to understand what are you solving, what problem statement are you solving with your project. It shouldn't be like you have just done the project and then it's just done and you're just going to share it with the recruiter. No, you have to be very good at the project, and you have to be very you have to talk to the project what you have done, how you have done, and what are the problems you have solved. Creating data set, collecting data is a very good project to have. Uh, you can do a project on cleaning and transformation of data. You can scrap data, like the data that you have created, you can scrap the data and then you can transform the data. You can clean them, you can structure them, and then you can even upload it in GitHub or something, or you can upload it in Kaggle. And then so that is something which would be considered a very good project. Creating views, yes. Once you have, this is more of an SQL concept. You are doing a lot of data wrangling. Now you have to create views. You have to present all of your data, and then this is something which sounds simple, but it's not. When you're really working in SQL, you know that when you have to do a lot of appending and joining, and then you have to present all the data in the view, it's kind of very complex, but it's very interesting and challenging as well. Connect data visualization tool. This is one of the projects which is, I think, which is very nice. Before doing the visualization and after completing the data cleaning and data transformation, etc., you have to do the data collection. You have to create domain models, something which you will be doing in Tableau Prep or something which you'll be doing in data Power BI. This is something, if you're not aware of it, I would say spend some time, research on it, find out what it is, and it's going to be very good for you. Create visualization is the obvious thing. You can create visualization in Tableau Public and you can host it, and then that would something which would draw the attention of the recruiter. And these are some of the portfolio projects which I would recommend you to have. Now, how are you going to demonstrate them? You can create your portfolio website. You can just simply create a free one using GitHub Pages, or you can just have online presence in Kaggle, in GitHub, upload your projects in GitHub, or even host your projects in Heroku. It's a free platform, free cloud platform. And then in your resume, just add the links for all of them. So this is something which will be coming very handy, because Recruiters wouldn't have a lot of time to read the entire text, but if they go through your work and they have seen that, okay, this is Meet and he has done a project on this, and this is very interesting. So yes, you have a higher chance of getting the interview call. A good resume is equal to good interviews. Absolutely true. Building a resume is very important, and you have to have a tailored resume for the particular job profile of a data analyst. The resume which you have built in your college, just throw it away. It's not going to be helpful in the job market, in the off-campus job market. You have to have a resume which is particularly built for your job profile, which is data analyst. Highlight your best skills. Do not put everything in the job profile. Do not say I'm good at machine learning, I'm good at software development, I'm good at Excel, I'm good at front end, back end, etc. You do not need to put everything. It would be just a way of getting disqualified. Just put the best skills. Put in SQL, Tableau, Power BI, uh, Python, etc. And then those are your core skills. And then you know add a lot of projects. If you are a fresher, if you do not have any experiences, then add a lot of projects where you are demonstrating those particular skills, how you have achieved them. I would say remove irrelevant jobs and skills. If you have done an internship in the field of digital marketing, you don't have to put in your resume if you're applying for a job in data analyst. Make your resume a functional resume. Do not make it chronological. You might have done 50 things in your entire college life, but you only need to put 7 things which are related to the job. If you are someone who is also interested in machine learning and is also trying his luck in data analytics, and you think that you have possessing skills for both the fields, then I would say create two different specific resumes and then apply for the jobs with those individual resumes instead of sending in a generalized resume. Keep it neat and professional. You don't have to put a lot of colors, a lot of fonts and graphics. Keep it neat and clean. Keep it something so significant like just using black and white colors. But keeping it in a well structured means that your resume is gonna get screened in the automated system. But if your resume is not built in a way that the automated resume parser is being able to parse your skills, then your resume is just going down the dump. So you don't want to do that. You want to keep it neat and professional. And then a good point would be to keep everything in bullet points, right? Do not write paragraphs. Use bullet point instead. That would just be because the recruiters are just going to skim through your resume. But if you're putting in the bullet points, they actually see what you have done and they actually understand if you're a good fit for the job. Now, the structure for the resume would be something like you need to provide your contact information. Then you have to provide your summary, something like a three-liner or two-liner about yourself. It should be related to the data analyst field, how you think you are a good fit for this particular role. Then you provide your skills. Just provide your skills which are relevant to the job, not everything else. Experience. If you are a fresher, then you just put in your capstone projects. If you are an experienced who is working in the field of data, just data. It could be database, it could be data cleaning, ETL, etc. So put in those projects, put in those experiences. But at the same time, do not talk about everything which you have done in the job. Just talk about the things which were relevant for you in the job, which is relevant for data analytics as well. Education, I like to keep it at the very end because if you have a very good something very flawless education background. So maybe if you are from IITs and ITs, etc., then I would say put it something above skills or below skills. But if not, then if you're just coming from a background of normal computer science like me, or if you have done a master's, this is the right place to put your education because they do not bring a lot of value unless and until your background is something from data analytics or data science. If you've done a PGP degree from IIM Calcutta, or at any of the other IIMs, they are just putting a lot of spotlight in your resume. Then you put it at the top of the funnel. Otherwise, just keep it at the bottom. It doesn't really matter. And then finally, would be your achievements and certifications. If you have got any achievements in the job in the data industry, then you can put it over there. Maybe it could be like, I have helped the company save 500 hours of manual processing by automating a process and I was awarded for it. Sure, go ahead and put it in. If you have done some certifications, I'm going to talk about certification in a while, but if you have done some certification which you think is going to bring a lot of value to your resume, Sure, go ahead and put it into the show. Next is certifications. I do not believe that you should be putting all the certifications you have done to learn the skills. I mean, I have done a lot of courses from Udemy and Coursera, and I could be having nothing less than 100 certificates. But that is not something which I'm going to put in my resume. But here are some of the courses which I really think that are really instrumental if you have to get in the industry, and if you think that you are a fresher, you don't have any experience, you're a student, and you want that kind of extra leverage in your resume. So yes, these are the five courses which I personally think that are actually good for your career, and they might help you land the job. Why did I select them and not the others? Is because if you look at the AWS certification, you're being certified by AWS. If you look at Microsoft Certified Data Analyst Associate, for Power BI, you're getting certified by Microsoft. For Tableau, you're getting certified by Tableau. And, and the other two are just Google and IBM are just too good of a brand. So the thing is that you can trust them to entrust the recruiters that yes, this guy has the skills required for the job. But courses which you do from other places, they could be lucrative, but then they might not bring a lot of values to you. Next is how would you optimize your LinkedIn profile? LinkedIn is actually an ecosystem for jobs, and I keep on saying this. LinkedIn is a very beautiful platform to be a part of. If you do not have an account over there yet, just go ahead and create the account there. Next is you need to understand that when you are actually applying for a job, then a lot of people are actually applying for the same job. There could be a lot of people, and you may or may not have that particular exposure towards that recruiter, towards the HR or the hiring manager. But because out of all the, let's say there are 10,000 people who have applied for the job, you might be at the bottom of the list and your number never reach out to the top. But getting a job is not just about getting the right skills. It would be something like you have to be popping out at that particular section where you have to be at the right space at the right time, right? So that's how I got my job. From my personal experience, I can share. I just happened, my resume just happened to be at the right place at the right time. So that's how I got the interview call, and that's how I cleared the rounds and I got the job. So what you can do actually is there are a lot of recruitment agencies who are working just to help people get into the job. If you don't want to be a part of the be you know connected, or you want to be in association with the agencies, then you, let's say you want to work in IBM or you want to work in Flipkart, so you can just go to the people's page of Flipkart. You can reach out to the, you can search for recruiters, and before you are even prepared for the job, just send connection request to all the recruiters. Have a, have a small conversation with them, try to explain to them that you are XYZ, you are currently preparing for this job. If there would be any jobs coming in their company and there would be any opening, they should consider you for it. And then that is something which you can do to actually safeguard your situation, your position in that particular hiring process. They might not have had the job requirement right away, but in future when they might be having it, they might just share the job description with you and share a link with you to apply for it. And this could be something like they are very crucial to give a to give an image to your name. So yeah, and it's quite possible that in future they would be the person who are going to shortlist the resumes. So there could be some kind of biasness to it if they already know you. I would say it's more like I think biasness would be a wrong word to say. It would be just like you would be getting preferences other people who have applied for the job. This is a sample text, which sample message which I have created for all of you guys. You can just copy paste it, change the parameters, and then just throw it away to the. Just use it while sending messages, while reaching out to the people, whether it's a recruiter. The top one is for recruiters. The bottom one is for referrals. So yeah, this would be very helpful if you are looking for a job in the industry. Now, preparing for the interviews. Uh, you have learned the skills, you have built the resume, you have built the portfolio, you have done all the previous steps. Now, how are you going to prepare for the interviews? the very first thing which is important for you to understand is the job hiring process. If 1,000 applicants apply, only 50 applicants get to pre-screening, and these 50 uh, are not manually screened. It's actually there is an ATS working in the backend of the hiring system. So the ATS is just so your resume first goes to the resume pool, and from the resume pool, the ATS is looking for keywords, and on the basis of the search sum results, it is categorizing those, like finding out the results and throwing it into the next line, which would be the pre-screen. Now, some hiring manager or some HR will be looking at all the 50 resumes, and they're just going to be skimming through the all the skills which you are having, and then if they think you're a good fit, out of 55 would be getting the interview calls. So, what is important for you is uh, to know how to trick the ATS system. You should be having the right core skills in your resume. You should be having the right core skills at the first place, which is required for the job profile. If the job is requiring Excel and SQL and you put in machine learning, you might not be considered for the job, right? Having a good resume is very important, and I have discussed how to make a resume. Knowing the job and talking your skills to the job is also very important. This is the tip which is during the interview process. You got the interview call, you are in the interview, you have cleared all the preliminary rounds. It could be your technical round, it could be your aptitude round, etc. Now, when you are talking about yourself in your interview, when you're talking about your skills and your projects, you have to be very good in selling yourself. You have to be very good in explaining how you are going to be a good fit, how you think that your core skills are going to be very instrumental in the job profile. If you can convince the recruiter how your skills, how your projects, how your experience have been have actually the does have the potential to make a lot of wonders in the job, then it is a trigger front for the recruiters, and you might be getting the job. And then yes, understanding the hiring process is important. I would say uh, you can be facing a lot of questions which you may not be prepared for, but then that's just the nature of the interview. That you can expect to get a lot of questions which you do not know about, but you have to be very honest about them. You cannot be like, you cannot fake it out. If you do not know something, just say I do not know something, but I have the right attitude. Be confident with what you have, with all the skills which you possess, with all the experience and all the knowledge which you have, and believe in yourself, be confident, and then just be honest in the interview. Make sure to know the skills before applying for the job. If you do not have the skills, that is the first thing. Do not apply for the job. First, prepare for yourself. If you have the core skills, start applying for the job. You can still prepare for the other skills, but once you have the core skills and you're confident, start applying for the job. Have a good attitude. You may not be knowing everything, but if you can show that you have a learning attitude and you are going to be working very hard to learn what you do not know and to come up with solutions for the problem, and that is considered to be a good attitude. Be outspoken. Do not say things which you do not know, but be honest that something which I do not know, but I will be knowing if I'm giving the opportunity. You need to have a huge drive to learn. You cannot be someone like I told you in the previous slides as well. You need to be continuous learning. You need to have that compounding in your knowledge. You have to be practicing continuously. You have to keep on learning new stuff, and you have to push yourself, and you have to be a good play during the interviews. You cannot be someone having a very pessimist attitude. You have to show how well you can perform even in pressure and everything else. How well you can perform during situations which you do not have to speak about it. You just have to show them through your through the way you are answering your questions, so the way you're driving the interview. So yes, the hiring process would be very tedious. You might be applying uh, for like since last 6 months, but you may not have any success. But just understand, guys, it was pandemic time and things are getting better now. You may be applying jobs rigorously. You may not have success today, but one day the luck factor would definitely kick in. If you had the hard work, if you're consistent with your work, then one day definitely you're gonna get crack the job. I would say first point would be keep applying. Do not stop applying. You think that after a month, even after applying, you have hit no success. I would say do not stop. Just keep applying. Keep upskilling. Keep upskilling. Keep upskilling. Upskill yourself religiously. Learn a lot of stuff. Learn everything which is possible. If you're just learning SQL, don't stop at basics. Learn advanced. If you talk about Python, Python is just an ocean. You can learn, like you can spend your entire life and you will not be able to cover everything which is there in Python and Tableau and everything else. So keep on upskilling, keep on updating yourself with current trends. What is currently the requirement of the job market? How can you leverage your own skills with the current requirement of the job market, etc. And then practice, practice, practice. Practice makes a man perfect. If you stop practicing, you'll start losing all the knowledge which you have learned. And then one sudden day, you might not expect, but you'll get the interview call, and then you might not be prepared for it. So prepare for such scenarios. Prepare for those kind of spontaneous interviews, and then just keep on practicing. Have patience. Don't feel frustrated, and believe in yourself. You will get the success eventually, not right away. Maybe you are lucky, and within the first week you're going to get the job, or maybe you have to just because maybe if you are financially challenged, then you have to just do any job which you're getting at the moment. But I would say keep on applying, and then one day, even after 6 months of working in your current company, you might get the data analyst job, right? So this is something you need to have faith in yourself. You have to have some faith in your hard work, and you have to believe in yourself. The last and the most crucial point would be take care of your mental and physical health. You do not want to just process your body so badly that you are physically and mentally damaged. You are kind of frustrated and depressed that you're not getting the job. You are working so hard that you are kind of facing some health issues now. You're losing sleep, you're feeling sick, etc. So I would say take intermittent breaks uh, when you feel like, okay, I have reached to that break-even point that if I continue like this for the next day again, this might lead to bad impacts on my health. Then I would say just take a break, take a 1 day or 2 day break, go out, hang out with your friends, live your life, be normal, and then get back to business. Yeah, that's the step, that's the slide we are all looking for. That's something which we're all looking forward in our lives. How are we gonna get the job after completing all of this successfully? When you get the offer letter and you are feeling like, I remember my situation. I when I got the offer letter, I like just the floors just ran away from my feet, and I was so emotional at that point of time. I just sat on the ground. I was just looking at my phone at the email that I have got the job. So yeah, if you're getting your first job is gonna be a remarkable step. You will be remembering it throughout your life, and this would be something uh, you will be cherishing throughout your life. And then remember, getting the first job is the most difficult task. If you get the first job in the data team, in the data industry, the getting the next job is like comparatively, it's just much easier because now you have the skills. You have spent years in honing your skills, learning and then being expert in the field. And now you can look forward to how you are gonna move ahead from this, whether you want to go to the path of a data scientist. If you enjoy database, then you can go become a database administrator. If you're someone who is just loving the dashboarding, you can be a BI consultant. So, and or if you're just loving your job as a data analyst, you can look forward to become a senior data analyst, etc. So this depends on where you want your trajectory to go, and that's how you're going to progress and advance in your career. So I guess that was all about the session. I am happy enough. If you have any questions, I can take it now. And if you want to reach out to me, if you have some queries, sure, you can email me at the given email ID, or you can just look for me on LinkedIn. And yes, I'll be happy to help you.
Yeah, Meet, I think there are actually a lot of questions that we have got. So it's first of all, I think it was a really good session and very extensive as well. And that is the reason why I guess people are also interested in asking questions because I'm pretty sure that they have, there are so many questions that come in the mind of a person who is looking for a job. So I'll just start off with the live questions that we have just received. So someone says that I'm working as an MIS coordinator for an NGO, but I have no conventional degree for that. I want to switch into the corporate. What should I have to do? So I think if someone is an MIS coordinator, can they switch into a data analyst role? In fact, we have lot many questions like these. Questions like I'm a developer with 1 year of experience, and I'm trying to switch into a data analyst role. Someone who is from a non-technical. I think there is someone who has also asked a question in the live chat that I'm from a non-engineering background. How can I get into a data analyst role? And I believe there was another question we received while, from the registered, from people who were interested in the webinar. Someone said that they are into a stats degree. And what computational skills do I need to develop to get into a data analyst role? Someone is a manual tester. So I think this is a common theme of questions that how can we switch from various roles into a data analyst profile?
All right, yeah. Okay, so this is a very good question, and I can categorize the entire population into three segments. First segment would be people who are actually in the data industry. Doesn't have to be data science or analytics, just in the data industry. Second segment is people who are coming from an IT background, whether they are developers, they are full stack developers, they are software developers, they are manual testers, uh, people like them who do not belong to the data industry, but they are just from the IT field. And then the third people are who are coming from different domains. They could be coming from mechanical engineering, they could be coming from fine arts, they could be coming from marketing, sales, commerce, etc. Yes, I would say you can get into the field. Getting into the data analytics field is comparatively very easier than getting into the data science field. But then it wouldn't be the same steps for all three of you. First, coming to the people who are belong to the data field, I think I'm not really sure about what exactly is your job role in being an MIS consultant or whatever your job role is. But I am thinking that you are a person who could be spending a lot of time working on Excels and working on a lot of data and sheets, etc. So the idea is whoever is working in the data field, it's easier for you to get in the data analytics field because you already are in the data field. You already have that experience of working with data. What you need to do is you need to design your portfolio. When I say portfolio, it's inclusive of resume, your online presence, and everything else. You have to design it in such a way that you are putting spotlight. Let's say if you are in the data field, you are in the MIS and you're working with a lot of Excel sheets. You are, making calculations, you are making refined Excel sheets, you're doing something like that. So you can say that yes, I have the experience of working in the data field. I have been working with Excel for the past couple of duration of my time, and this is how what I have done. Do not say what I know. Just say that I have designed Excel reports, which were let's say I have designed around 500 Excel reports during my last 1 year of duration, and those results were really essential for the NGO to actually find out what are the where the donations are coming in, where let's say this again is a domain expertise concept. Let's say that the NGO is working to get charity or get donation from the entire Indian population, and then they are using that money for good cause. They're buying books for the underprivileged people. They are using the money for a good cause. So their reports could be like, this is where we are getting the I made a thorough report where where the money was coming, where the donations were coming in. I kind of did charting and visualization and made tables and etc. so that we can understand who are the main sources of our donations, and then where these income is going, where these not income, where these donations are going towards which particular schools, towards which particular area, etc. So you kind of apply the STAR approach over here as well: situation, task, action, result. What was the situation? What are the tasks which you have done, which you had to do? What are the actions which you had taken to the task? What are the results which you're getting? The idea is, yes, you have to sell yourself. You have to sell yourself very hard to convince the recruiter that you may not have the background, but you are very good at the job that you do. You have the skills. And I think the market is kind of maturing at the moment. More and more companies are ignoring the backgrounds, the qualification. But if you're just having the skills, they might just hire you. So yeah, I would say if I think you are the person who really need to do these certifications, the ones which I've shown in the slides below a few minutes ago, because they would be really very handy for you. They are not very expensive. They would be, you know, something which you'd be paying far less if you actually are planning to do a course in that particular field. But I would say get certified, uh, build your projects, build portfolio, do some projects, show your work, demonstrate them, and then you might have a high chances of getting a job. Coming to the people who are coming from IT background, uh, same thing would be applicable to you. You may not be in the data industry, so you cannot say that you have already done this things in your previous job, which would be relevant for your analyst job profile. But then I would say that work parallelly on your portfolio, build projects. I would say if you're a developer, then you must be doing a lot of competitive coding. But I would say transition yourself from the competitive coding from data structure and algorithm section towards SQL database and Python stuff, just problem solving, etc. And doesn't have to be queue, stack, linked list, etc. Because when you are a data scientist, you might need all of them again. But being a data analyst, you don't need to work with a lot of data structures. Then again, it's a very subjective thing. Depends on job to job. Generally, the average on an average basis, you don't need them. So build a portfolio, do projects, share your work in Lead Code. I would say Lead Code is a very good platform for SQL. Share your work in Kaggle. Be very good. Like this is for everyone. Be I would say be very active in Kaggle. Try to get one of those ranks done in there. Maybe it could be like someone like expert or something like that, which is just very less. Just be an expert in notebook or data set, and then that would say a lot about you. That would be really handy during your job interview phase. And then yes, build portfolios, share it in GitHub. The more projects you share in GitHub, the more well documented your projects are in GitHub, the more you get the chance of getting the job. uh, and then yeah, once you're ready with the skills, once you're ready with your portfolio, I would say just start applying. And then similar thing for you as well. You just have to prove yourself, how your skills, how your previous experiences would still be useful. You can say that, you know, the ones who are coming from IT industry, you can say that I am good at data analytics, I have the skills, but my ninja skill would be that I'm also very good at software engineering. So you can say, like, there would be a lot of scenarios where we have to do automation and stuff. So I think my skills as a software developer or software engineer or a tester would be coming in handy. Like if you're doing hypothesis testing, you have to do a lot of testing, right? So if you're a manual tester, you already know what is penetration testing, etc. So you may not have a direct link between them, but you can say that my the acumen which I have for testing would be coming handy for this thing. So just extract your skills, try to find a correlation between your skill and the skill which is required for the job, and then just try to speak to it, convince the recruiter, convince in your resume how they are actually very useful for the job, and you have it, and then you might get it. Anybody who is coming from a non-IT background altogether, this is very difficult for you to get a job in this data analytics field, but then it's not impossible. Whatever steps I have said to apply for the first and second sections, which is the data field and the IT field, you can combine both of them together. If you are from sales, so you are working with data. Someone asked that if they're from statistics. I mean, that's a funny question, because qualifications of a data analyst would be a person who is having a background in computer science, statistics, finance, economics, etc. So you really don't have to worry about something. Yes, you have to work on the technical skills, work on SQL, work on learning. You know how the statistics work. You just need to find out, learn how to do it using tools, because you can't do it manually. Company is kind of time restricted. You have to do the deliveries in a very accurate and estimated time. So just try to upskill yourself in that particular sections and start applying.
So we have more questions. I think there are some interesting questions. Saruchit is asking that as per JDs of data analysts, hands-on experience on expensive tools like Tableau, Power BI, ClickView, Adobe Analytics are asked. How can one overcome the same while applying for a job? And then he's also asking two more questions. He says that there's often requirement about having knowledge of any leading cloud platforms, which is again difficult on a personal expense. So these are like, sort of related questions itself. And last but not the least, he asked that please share any suggestions on showcase open source projects and notebooks in the resume, which can compensate for a lack of experience. So I think the first question is, of course, like how can we have hands-on experience on expensive tools if you could have throw some
Sure.
light.
Yes, you said Tableau, you said Power BI, and then QuickLab, etc. You you do not, and I absolutely mean it, you do not have to buy any of them, spend a single penny. If you're familiar with Tableau Public, then you can actually work on Tableau Public, and then you don't have to buy it, you don't have to get a license. You can just simply work on it, and you can show your work on there, and it's absolutely free of cost. Another thing about Tableau is if you are a student and if you have got an email ID uh, from your college and it's a edu, or if you just have the student ID card, you can directly there is a feature which is being provided by Tableau that you can apply for a student's license, and if they will need confirmation. They have a various verification process and validation process. If you get it done, then you get a 1 year free license for Tableau desktop. So that is very handy. Power BI, I think, is a free tool. But let's say coming to your question, which is like what you're trying to understand is if there is a tool which is very expensive and there is no free alternative for it, then how are you going to learn it? I would say uh, the ones which are very essential, like Excel, SQL, Tableau and Python, they don't need you to buy them. You can simply get them. But then let's say some add-on tools like SAS and everything else, which you cannot buy because it's very expensive. So just ignore them because the fundamental concepts would be the same. I have already told you before, don't focus on the lavish and expensive requirement of the job profile. Focus on the core skills. If you just are an expert in SQL and you can just show it with the in your work, just demonstrate with your works, then it would be good to go. What was the second question?
The second one was cloud platforms. How can we have experience on cloud platforms? And the third was about how to showcase open source projects and notebooks in resume.
Sure. Regarding cloud platforms, you must have seen that there's always a section which says good to have skills, and cloud always comes to that. If it's being a core requirement of the job, then it's a cue that this job is not meant for you because uh, you being a junior data analyst or an entry level analyst would not be required to work on cloud. But then it again depends on if you're applying for a startup companies, they might have this requirement. One thing which I would say up to a certain extent would work is you get a free tier in cloud. For Azure, you get around I guess it's some $100 worth of instances. In Azure you get something like you get free tier as well, and in GCP, Google Cloud Platform, you actually get $300 if you register uh, with their free account. So yeah, you can use them, you can experiment them. You might not be able to do everything which is like the advanced stuff, but the basic stuff, just to be familiar with the platform, you can learn them from those particular free tiers. But then if you have to do it like a full time, like you have to be an expert in it, then you could do it either by just learning it theoretically, but by going through books or by going through documentation, and just be prepared for theoretical questions. You might not be having practical experience, but then that would be something which would be handy for you. And then how are you going to demonstrate your projects in your portfolio? I always have a habit that so for me, I had built a portfolio website of my own domain. So my portfolio was meetsync.tech, and it was a one-stop go for the recruiters. Now it's not active because I have the job and I didn't renew the domain. So it's not there. But for during my job hunting phase, it was there. It was like my live resume. Plus there was a section for projects. There were a couple of blogs which I've written. So they were also there, and there were hyperlinks for all the various platforms which I would want the recruiter to have a look at. So you can build a free portfolio. You don't have to spend anything just by GitHub pages, or you can just simply, if you do not have any experience of building a portfolio, so you don't have to do it. I said Kaggle is a very good platform for hosting your notebooks, and it gives you it's completely free, of course, it's not paid. So you can and you get all the data from their instance only. So you don't even have to export and import the data. The larger files you can also work with them. Make notebooks, document the notebooks, have comments and these explanations, everything. Work on Jupyter notebooks. That is something. Then again, you can share your Kaggle link in your resume. You can share your GitHub link in your resume. If you are someone who is having a lot of stars regarding Python, SQL, etc., in CodeShare, Hacker, and HackerRed, add it in your resume. Uh, so your recruiter may or may not click it, but you should always add them because when if your resume is being passed by the ATS and it's being pre-screened by your hiring manager, they will definitely look into your work. And if they find it interesting and challenging, then they might call you for the interviews.
Yeah, I think we are running short of time. We still have questions. Okay, maybe we can pick up one last question. I have completed a post-graduation MSc in maths, and also I have knowledge of Python and data science. Can I get a data analyst or an IT job? I think,
Absolutely, yes.
yeah, I think you might have pretty much answered this before.
Absolutely, yes. Just prepare your
Yeah,
resume nicely and start applying.
yeah, and okay, and then there's another obvious question that I think we already addressed, that how can a person from a non-IT background get into a data analyst job? And then if I have some data related to car parking reservation and cancellation, and the CEO asks for some analysis related to the increase of the fare in future, what kind of report I need to make as a data analyst? So this is like a very specific question. Like we can probably take a minute or two to answer this if it is possible for you.
Yes, can you go in with the question again, the scenario of the
It says that
project?
if you have some data related to a car parking reservation and cancellation, and your CEO asks for some analysis related to the increase of fare in future, then what is the kind of report that a data analyst should make?
So you remember when I said that during the analysis phase, it would be statistical analysis and it would be functional analysis. This is a combination of both. But you already have the data regarding the cars which are being parked on a regular basis and the cars which are being cancelled. So now the first thing which you have to do is ask the relevant question. What would be the right questions be? You can say you have to find the relationship between cars being parked and the elasticity that, let's say, if I increase the revenue, if I increase the fare charge, then will it impact the people who are parking over here? People who would be paying the parking fees, it could be either monthly or it could be on an ad hoc manner that they're just parking for 2 hours or 3 hours. So you have to identify those particular categories first. You have to identify what are the different segments in the data. Then you have to formulate the right questions, and then you have to do some analysis like on the basis of the domain that like I said, uh, people who are parking on a monthly basis, how long have they been parking here for? Is it like more than, if the time span of them parking here is like more than 1 year, are they living near to the place? Let's say if they are living near to the place, and if they are just parking their cars in that particular spot for like more than 1 year, so there is very high chances that even if you increase the fare, they wouldn't move out because they have reached that comfort level that they might just pay let's say 5,000 rupees more for that particular parking space rather than just finding a new one, because that would be kind of difficult for them. This is just one example. It depends on all the features you have in the data. It depends on all the segments, and you have to. This is where you first have to explore the data. You have to understand what exactly are the relation between one of the attributes, one of the entities with the other one, and then you have to find out the causation and correlation between the fare amount and the parking. Someone who is canceling a lot, you have to first understand why are they canceling it, right? So if you find out the reason why they are canceling it, then you can also find a relationship between if that person is canceling the fare for this particular reason, then will it have the same causation effect if the price is being increased? Let's say if the fare was increased and that is why he had cancelled uh, the parking for that particular day, that is a great hint that if you increase the price of the uh, you know parking fee, then they will not going to hire. So I'm just trying to demonstrate how you have to think analytically, how you have to come up with probing questions, and you have to finalize the questions. Once you have the right questions being formulated, then you can sure go ahead and start with your statistical analysis. The system, the coding will just give you numbers, the analytics will just give you numbers, but it is you who is interpreting that numbers in a more convenient and formatted way with your stakeholders and for your particular scenario to your CEO. So that is why I said you have to have an analytical and methodological mindset. I hope this answers your question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Meet. There were a lot of comments which said that the session was really good. So, and thank you so much for putting in so much effort. And also thank you all the people who were watching and who posted questions, comments. I think it also helps us to make the session more interactive. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming here and being a part of this webinar. I absolutely enjoyed coming here because it was not very long back. I also mentioned it before that I was on the other end of this particular table, so I know where you guys are coming from, and I would love to see all of you get into this industry, get your dream job, and absolutely nail it after that. So thank you for having me here, Niharika. It was a wonderful time. I will, however, try and answer as many questions as possible later on at the end of the day in the YouTube comment section. But if not, then you can just simply reach out to me at these particular hyperlinks. And yes, I will be happy to help. So have a good day, guys. And it was nice being here. Chalo, bye bye.
Thank you.